we go. Okay, yeah, for the peeps who can't make it, we're going to be going over 5 principles of strength training. Super fun, definitely educational vibe, something to just take with you. Maybe some of it might be something you've known before or repetitive. Some of it might be new, who knows? I'm going to share my screen, and I'll first kind of also just give the reminder that we still got $80 to give out, $20 to anybody randomly each week who just posts frequency on their Instagram, tagging us in whatever selfie. Geraldine did it today. Thanks, Queenie. So she's in the running this week. Yeah, I think that's it. I don't know. If anything else comes up, I'll let you know, but I don't think any big announcements going on right now. So here we go. 5 core principles of strength training. Let's get it. So first of all, progressive overload. You guys have probably heard this word before. You've probably heard me say it, or maybe some TikTok. I don't know. Let's really dive into what exactly it means. So this would entail following a repetitive, structured program each week and tracking your weights, your reps, your time under tension, your form, your rest, your RPE, which would stand for rate of perceived exertion. So kind of like rating your set or the weight on a scale of like 1 to 10, 1 being like I could, do a million more reps of this, and a 10 it being like it was absolute failure, could not go any harder. So these are all just different ways to track progressive overload. When we say it, kind of the first thing that comes to mind is adding maybe 5 extra pounds or adding 1 or 2 extra reps. And yes, that is kind of like the first line of defense that we want to use as far as progressive overload. But even just controlling the weight, having better form, better mobility, not needing as much rest, all of that also contributes to that. So coming 1 to 3 reps shy of failure with each set will help you find your true abilities and start the process of adaptation. So I like to remind you that strength training is really only going to change your body and have physical results if you are putting a new stress on your body. If you are requiring your body to adapt to something new, it needs a new stimulus. So if you have been overhead pressing 15 pounds now for 2-3 years, or even 2-3 months, and the reps haven't gone up, the weights haven't gone up, or something, like that, there is no need for your body to adapt. Okay, this whole theory, the law of adaptation, that has to be putting a new stimulus. So this is why progressive overload is so important. If you're not paying attention to tracking your weights and your reps, we can basically guarantee that your body is going to stay the same. So yeah, increasing weights or reps each week, or just whenever possible. Honestly, usually for pretty much all of my clients, you guys can increase weights or reps like literally every week, maybe 2 weeks, maybe every month or so. Eventually there will come a time in your life, in your fitness journey, where you can't, literally add like 5 pounds or an extra rep every single week. Literally, if that was possible, at this point, I would be squatting 10,000 pounds sort of thing. So eventually you start to manipulate progressive overload with those other things like RPE, time under tension, improving your form and endurance, all that. So yes, and staying at the same weight and the same reps will ensure that your body stays the same. So yeah, just a little note here as well. Workouts for fat loss don't look any different. Okay, so whether you're working out for strength progress, whether you're working out to improve your metabolism, whether you are strength training for fat loss or strength training to build your legs or to build your glutes, whatever, workouts for fat loss should not look any different. Okay, they don't need to look any different. So when you go through a program with frequency, we have different phases, different stages of kind of like where you're at. If you're in a dieting phase, if you're in a cut, you're going to notice that your workouts actually should look exactly the same. We want to be able to not only maintain strength, but if we can improve strength as we are dieting and increasing cardio, because that's how we're going to manipulate. If your goal is fat loss, the things that we manipulate.
Dude, how fucking retarded.
Okay. I think Blake is a little bit pissed, but that's okay. Anyway, if your goal is fat loss, your workouts are not going to change. You're still going to want to prioritize strength, and you're going to really hone in on nutrition and cardio. Those are the points that affect fat loss. Number 2, burning calories is not the goal. I don't give a fuck how many calories your Apple Watch says that you burned during your strength training session. 1, it's irrelevant. 2, it's inaccurate. And 3, it just doesn't matter, okay? The point of strength training, yeah, you're going to be burning calories as you work out. We burn calories as we blink, as we breathe, as we eat, as we talk. Summer, you're so funny. It's okay. That was the entertainment we needed, Summer. Thank you. Burning calories is not the goal. You will be burning calories, of course, you're working out. What the point of this is, of strength training, of building lean muscle mass, is to burn more calories throughout the rest of the day. So when you have more lean muscle mass on you, you have a quicker metabolism, a higher BMR. So your maintenance point, right? We all talk about like a calorie deficit. We're all aware of a calorie surplus. The majority of your life is spent in your maintenance calories. We can increase that number if we have lean muscle mass on you. So anyway, all of that to say, that's the point of strength training. It's not to burn calories. We're going to be way more effective at burning calories if we just don't eat them. Basically, if we focus on nutrition and dieting, and again, focusing on your BMR outside of the gym. That 60 minutes, that workout there is really not the most effective way to focus on burning calories. Cardio in steps is a tool to burn calories as far as movement. Your heart rate should be fully recovered in between each set to perform strength training efficiently and effectively. So if you are going to be monitoring your heart rate, whether that's, through a ring and a watch, or literally just paying attention, to your heart rate and utilizing the rest timer, you want your heart rate pretty much fully recovered before you go into that next set. Because if you are performing out of breath, you're gassed, your muscles are still fatigued, you're not going to perform that next set to the best of your abilities. It's not going to produce any adaptation. You're really just going to be performing cardio at that point and not getting the benefits of strength training. The weight should be heavy enough to increase your heart rate. So if you do 10 squats holding 10 pounds, and if you do 10 squats holding 200 pounds, your heart rate is going to be more elevated by the exact same amount of squats, but holding a heavier weight. So yes, heavy weights are going to increase your heart rate, but we're not trying to increase your heart rate from moving quickly or doing a whole bunch of reps or focusing on shorter rest. Okay. So we will get that elevated heart rate. You will get the benefits of, I guess, essentially like, your cardiovascular system improving if you choose heavy weights. It's going to be way more productive, way more bang for your buck. Sweat, heart rate, soreness, none of these things are an indicator of a good workout or a good strength training session. Soreness can sometimes be an indicator of, okay, well, we at least put some new stimulus on your muscle, because the feeling of soreness is like, okay, my muscles did just have to adapt to something new, but it doesn't always happen. Sometimes you hit a PR, sometimes you do put a new strength or a new stimulus on the muscle and you don't feel soreness, or sometimes you just have, a pretty average workout, and because of sleep, rest, food, nutrition, water, all of that, you feel sore. So sweat isn't an indicator. Some people sweat more than others, does not mean that they are working harder or burning more calories or had a better workout. And same for heart rate. Just because your heart rate is higher and stays higher does not mean that you get more results from that strength training session. Programming. So this is going to get kind of in the weeds here. So I'm going to keep it light and simple. Although, when you do start coaching one-on-one with frequency, kind of on the tail end on your way out, we're going to focus on learning how to program for yourself, writing your own workouts and all of that, so that you are completely autonomous over your fitness journey. But strength training should not be random workouts that are changing frequently. The point is to master the movements and increase strength. The more consistent your workouts, the better. Literally, if you have a well-rounded program, not kidding when I say you could follow that program the rest of your life and see crazy results. If I'm being completely honest, the only reason you ever need to change workouts, literally scientifically, is if the client is just getting bored, or if the client is not progressing with them for whatever reason. The client cannot add any more weight, is not performing any better, or just, psychologically doesn't enjoy it. Or if that program maybe didn't have any, if it was missing a muscle group, or if it was like whatever, obviously there's benefits to changing up your workouts over time, but following a program for a good amount of time is definitely better than switching it up frequently. Beginners will do squats. The most advanced athletes in the world will do squats. Okay, so it's not the movements that change. If you're following a workout and you're like, oh, it's too easy, guaranteed it's probably your weight choices or your intensity that is making it feel too easy. Okay, so what will change and progress over time is intensity, form, weight, reps, quality of movement, sets, all of that. So compound lifts will come first when you follow a strength training program or a workout program, your compound lift. So that's your squats, bench, deadlift, maybe an overhead press. Sometimes that looks like a hip thrust. Some people say lunges are a compound movement. A lat pull down or a pull up could be considered a compound movement. So something that's using multiple joints all at once, something that is really using all of your strength all at once. This is also usually something that's requiring a barbell, a Smith machine, or just your maximum amount of force. And then, in the middle of your workout, then we'll move on to things like unilateral movement. So this is like single leg things or single arm things, or utilizing dumbbells, to focus on imbalances. And then we go to isolation accessories. So movements like focusing just on the bicep curl, or, using tiny muscles like rear delts, focusing on a leg extension, just isolating the quad and taking out all the other muscles. Cardio should always be performed after strength training. So if you have cardio programmed, that should be at the end of your workout, no matter what that is. Whether you want to do your cardio at the end of your workouts, or you want to do them completely separately, that is up to you. But you definitely do not want to do your cardio sessions before your strength training workouts. Aside from using a cardio machine like a treadmill or a spin bike or something like that to just warm up, which that would be something that's less than 10 minutes and isn't, getting your heart rate too high. It's not gassing you. It's literally just getting blood flow. Programs usually include intensity techniques, things like pyramid sets. That's when you'll see like 12 reps, 10 reps, 8 reps, 6 reps. As the reps go down, the weight goes up, creating sort of like a pyramid. Drop sets, tempo reps, negative reps, etc. All of these things are designed to improve your intensity. And again, ways to get stronger and add new stimulus and progressively overload. That's not just always adding weight, adding reps. Rest time matters. And this is equally as important in your programming as the movement, as the sets, as the reps, the rest time. That's a huge indicator. Just so important. So you utilize your rest timer. And 4, warm-up sets, acclimation sets, and working sets. So warm-up sets, this is only performed for the first 1 to 2 exercises in your program. So if your workout program looks like, you start with squats, hip thrusts, lunges, leg press, leg extension, whatever. Warm-up sets should really only need to happen for the first 2 movements or the first 2 exercises. This is simply just to warm up the joints that you'll be working throughout the rest of the workout, mimicking the movement pattern. So if you are doing some barbell squats to get started with, please walk up to the barbell and just utilize the bar first without putting any weight on. You should not be counting your reps at this time. You should not be exhausting yourself at this time. Literally maybe just like 3 to 10, maybe body weight squats or just the barbell squat or whatever. Then you have your acclimation sets. So this is when you're gradually adding on weight until you have found your working weight. Maybe this takes like 1 to 3 sets. Okay, so this is when we're slowly adding on weight. So you don't want to go from absolutely no weight to, all right, my working set is I know I can squat, 200 pounds or whatever. Then we get into our working sets. This is what's programmed for you by your coach. So if you see 3 sets by 12 reps, 3 sets for 10 to 12 reps, those 3 sets are all working sets. Those should be extremely challenging, very difficult, and given your full attention. And 5, equipment, form, mobility. So just kind of a refresher. So we have barbells. Those are the long sticks that you put plates on. Okay, and plates are the round circular weights that you put on. We have bumper plates. Those are when it can be, 10 pounds, but it's a big circle plate. Sometimes they're only small, then that wouldn't be considered a bumper plate. You have platforms. So this is sometimes when you see that there's like a big cage that the barbell is put in, that's the squat rack, and then the platform behind it or underneath it would be considered for like a deadlift platform. You have a Smith machine, which is like a barbell, but it's part of a machine, so it's locked into place. We have dumbbells. Those are the individual kind of hand weights that you'll see. Kettlebells, that's where it's shaped like a bell with a handle around the top. So the weight is kind of distributed differently. It has like a swinging motion to it. Easy bars are sort of like preloaded barbells. They're a little bit shorter. The weights are already on it. They're usually stacked on top of like a little triangle tier sort of thing. I don't know why they're called easy bars because they're definitely not easy. Plate loaded machines. So those are machines, maybe like a leg press where you put the plates on. There's a multiple different plate loaded machines though. There's a lat pull down at some gyms where you put the plates on, but then we also have our pin weight machines or pin loaded machines, meaning like if you're sitting in a leg extension and you just move the pin and that's what's adding the weight. Those are pin weight machines or pin loaded machines. Cable machines, those are cables. They look like strings, you have different attachments on them. I love the cable machines for back days specifically. Functional equipment. These are things like battle ropes, medicine balls, tires, boxes, yoga balls, Bosu balls. I don't know why yoga balls are called yoga balls because you do not use them in yoga. And fun fact, I met the the inventor of the Bosu ball, worked out with him a couple months ago. Pretty cool. Love a Bosu ball. That's kind of like the half-shaped ball. So functional equipment would be mimicking movements that you would see in real life outside of the gym. You want to do functional training every once in a while to make sure that you can hike, you can climb, you can swim, you can run, you can fight safely and effectively, all stuff that you'll probably be doing for the rest of your life. And then we have proper alignment, so form. This is obviously very broad. Each movement kind of has a different, ideal form, but ideally for the most part, we want our joints stacked on top of each other. If you're watching yourself from the side or from the front, we want to make sure that wrists and elbows are aligned and that shoulders and hips are all stacked on top of each other as far as gravity is on top of you. Core pretty much should always be braced as if someone was punching you in the stomach or if you had a really tight corset on, really engaging your pelvic floor as well. A neutral spine, so that means that little curve in your lower back and then a little curve in your neck. We're going to try to flatten those out and have a neutral spine throughout the majority of movements. Knees and toes, ideally going in the same direction. This is for things like squats, leg press, lunges, hip thrusts. Your knees and your toes ideally want to be always pointing in the same direction. And then even weight distribution. So standing evenly between your right and your left leg, making sure that you're not squatting fully leaning on your right leg or on your left leg. And then mobility. Mobility is so important because poor mobility, which could mean weak joints, limited flexibility, you're not warming up properly, you're not foam rolling, you're not stretching enough. These things will only decrease the output of your workout. So having good flexibility, good mobility, making sure that you're foam rolling, you're stretching, you're not getting too sore and too tight and too stiff. Because if you are, then you're not performing these movements in the full range of motion. You're not going to be activating the right muscles. So super important to prioritize mobility in your workouts as well. Woo! That was a lot. I'm going to drink some water. Any questions? Woohoo! Comments, questions, concerns? Cheers. All right, cute. Fun stuff. If you guys do have any comments, questions, if anything popped up. Tori, do you have anything?
Yes, I was gonna say it's not a question, but it's just cool to hear that the calories burned isn't a huge thing to focus on, because I know that's something I used to struggle with, like constantly looking at my watch and being disappointed if the number wasn't high of calories burned. So it's really cool to hear that that's not really a big thing you have to focus on.
Yeah, definitely. Good. I'm glad that you said that. I know a lot of people, still kind of have a hard time wrapping their mind around it. I actually just saw another fitness coach post about her Oura ring, and she was like, I'm actually so happy that this ring doesn't track how many calories you burn in your workouts, because it's just irrelevant, doesn't matter. So yeah, good. I'm glad. It's another number that you just don't need to get caught up in. All right, my little ladies, thanks for showing up, and I'll see you next week. Bye. Have a lovely night.